Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, July 21st. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarification points. The price you see over here will be changing as I go through the different charts, and the candlestick, as they're called right there, will also be moving around. That is because the market is still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then next, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, which means for you beginners that each one of these, as I said, candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, Sndl, and overall a very, very impressive move today. Things were, not looking terrible, but kind of just going sideways. But then today, that opening 30 minutes, price really came to life. Next 30 minutes of the day, continue to move upwards. There has been a bit of a pullback, but nothing, drastic, nothing terrible. The price is now above both of these moving averages, which is always a good sign. That purple line being the 50-period moving average, pink line being the 200-period moving average. So from that angle of things, again, yes, I realize it's great when stocks just go straight up, and if they could only do that all the time, that'd be great, but that's just not reality. Sometimes they're going to pull back, but the fact that during the pullback they were able to stay up above both those moving averages is a good sign. But I think the main dynamic that most people are going to be watching moving forward is all about that trend line right there, which essentially puts the breakout point right there at 36 cents. And this is a trend line where I'm not trying to impress you or imply that this is a great discovery. I assure you a lot of people have drawn that trend line, and I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same levels, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can certainly produce a whole lot of upwards buying pressure. So definitely keep a close eye on 36 cents. Again, no guarantees, but is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price can get up to 36 and then push up through it, that break in and of itself could create good solid buying pressure? That is absolutely a valid thought process to have. So let's see what happens with it moving forward. Next one, Apld, and I did this one in yesterday's video. Crazy part is when I did it, the price was actually still inside of this upwards channel here as I was talking about it. But then within a few minutes later, because again, the market is still open for an amount of time when I'm doing this, the price decided to just absolutely beast mode through the upper part of that channel, and you can see just got way more continuation on the day. So like I was just talking about for Sndl, sure, there's been a pullback here, but when you factor in all things, I mean, these lows are still way higher than where, it was even at the high of the breakout right there. So in other words, from a big picture standpoint, the trend remains upwards. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these lines down here as they've served their purpose now just to show that that upwards channel just got absolutely destroyed. And again, in a good way. So where are some of these new key levels at? First level that really stands out to me that I'm curious about here in the near term is this $2 and what is that? $2.53, 55, we'll call it $2.55. And that's just interesting to me because as of now, this pullback, this is where it seems to have leveled out. Again, doesn't mean that it's for sure leveled out, but it would be rational given the price has at least gone sideways to think that way. So if this thing is going to break up through, 255, especially if it's a high volume break, again, like Sndl, no guarantees, but is it valid? Is it plausible to think that any sort of high volume breakup there could create another surge of buying and potentially bring it up to these highs at $3? In my mind, that seems like a more than plausible scenario to keep an eye on. So watch that in the very near term. And then yes, from the overarching standpoint, key level of resistance is right up there to basically that $3 mark. As far as levels of support are concerned, if you like to play pullbacks, key area in the near term right here at 233. And then if you're somebody that likes to play those gap closes, then down there around 215. But let me be very clear, gap closes do not have to happen. Nothing has to happen in the market. If that were the case, that would imply that there were guarantees. But there are no guarantees in the market. But nonetheless, those would be the key levels to keep an eye on moving forward. Next one, MARA, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the previous video from Tuesday. But I talked about this red line up here, $14 being a key level of resistance. And sure enough, the power of charts, opening 30 minutes, gap up, got up there, went slightly up above it, and then just completely pulled back. But again, not in a bad way. Nothing can go straight up. With the pullback, the price is not only still well above these moving averages, but it's even up above this green line here that I talked about, 1150 in yesterday's video. So, I mean, even if the price had broken down through that green line, it would still be okay from a big picture standpoint because the price would still be above those moving averages, but it didn't. It didn't even go down there and test it. So overall, yeah, it did pull back, but you still got to give the advantage to the bulls because even with the pullback, still price is above all these areas of support. So keep an eye on 14. That is going to be just that much more monitored now, given the nature of what happened this morning with it getting rejected back down. But again, if you do like to play the pullbacks, and 1150 presents a choice, or if you like to play more so moving averages, that 50 period moving average is also another option you could keep an eye on. But yeah, overall, yes, today individually a little bit disappointing because of the pullback, but looking at more than just a single day, the uptrend is fine and still drifting upwards. Next one, XELA, which I was not really planning on doing today because it seemed to just kind of still been drifting downwards. But then this afternoon showed up, some good solid volume, and then the price showing some signs of strength. So that brings up the valid question, maybe this is the start of something bigger. And that's the idea behind a watch list. Not just to randomly rush out and buy something, but to watch it, observe it, and see if it behaves in a way that ultimately fits your personal trading strategy. So with this late day action, I would definitely consider that an interesting and unique circumstance. And for me, it seems as though this 15.5 cent mark is going to be the kind of the current annoying point right now, where you can see back yesterday, 15.5 presented a bit of issues. And then with the explosion today, 15.5 once again presented an issue. But if the price can get up through there, especially on a high volume break, it's plausible to think that that could really start to bring in another wave of momentum and potentially push it back up to these highs at 18 cents. But overall, in the near term, if you like to play penny stocks, 15.5 cents, definitely a very intriguing level. Next one, AMC, and a very, very beautiful move today. Not because it was necessarily green, and this will mean a bit more to those that watched the video from yesterday, but I talked about that resistance trend line right there, and you can see earlier on in the day, price came up there, broke through it, consolidated, pulled back. I mean, just a classic, beautiful example of a back test right there. So back tested the breakout point, and then up it went, which is now what presents it. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that line as it served its purpose. But now we're knocking on the door, and this is a level, again, we'll call it a self-fulfilling prophecy point, because I assure you there's no talent at all that goes behind looking at this level up here at 1780. But a lot of people are going to be watching 1780 and now throwing out the question, is this the start of something bigger? Is the breakout going to occur? Now, maybe it doesn't. So, but it is a two-sided coin because, well, maybe it does, and then it really gets that much more momentum, which goes back to the philosophy of a watch list. Is this unique? Is this an interesting situation? Yeah, absolutely. And the big question revolves around that trend line there at 1780 and whether or not the price can break up through it. So it got through step one, through that resistance trend line. Now it's getting up here to this next potential breakout point. So let's see if the bulls can continue with momentum and push up through that key level. Real quickly, I want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering very soon. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency as a trader to make good decisions, then certainly get signed up for this free training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been liking what you've seen, you want to learn more about it, then certainly get signed up for the free training. Next, SDIG, and I like this one, going back to the whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecies, but in this situation, more so just a pattern point of view. So, like I said, I'm not trying to impress you, but in my mind, a lot of people have drawn these lines here to formulate this pattern. So let's just get the pattern in play and change just to green to represent the support part of the pattern. And then maybe to make it all a little bit easier to see, let's just change it to one color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big momentum right there. And to make it more visual for you golfers out there, let's put a little golf hole down here. And this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So if you like to play stocks down below the $5 mark, if you like to play bull pennant patterns, here you go. This one is definitely a very, very well-defined one. So you got to think that if it can get the breakout, that's going to cause those pattern breakout players to want to get involved with the breakout. Next one, TRLY, and I put this one in the watch list right after the previous one of SDIG because same exact concept. So hopefully you're having a case of deja vu there. We have our resistance. We have our support line right there. So let's get that changed, like I said, to green. And then just to make it all the same color. So we have resistance, we have support, we have a nice momentum move right there. We have our golf hole down here. So we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. So again, if you like to play bull pennants, here you go, TRLY, another very classic setup here, which you got to think a lot of people are watching. So there is that, kind of spiciness of the self-fulfilling prophecy. Next one, Tsla Tesla. Now, I realize that there is earnings, but the level here that once again showed up today and where I think, will play a role, and maybe if it doesn't, then it just shows how kind of powerful or bad things are. But this 750 mark, once again, the price came up here, rejected twice today, got somewhat close right there. So the point being is, are earnings good or bad? Well, let's see, how does the price react with 750? I would say earnings are considered bad if the price can never even breach up above 750. Now, if it stays above 750, then okay. If it just hovers around this area, all right, well then earnings probably mediocre, okay. But, obviously if the price just, falls further and further away from 750, not seeming like the earnings are that great. Or obviously if the price just comes up here and blasts through 750, well, then that would be a very plausible thought process. Say, okay, looks like the earnings aren't nearly as bad or as good or what have you that the market was expecting. So yes, are Tesla earnings going to be good or bad? Well, let's see how Tesla reacts with 750, because up until this point, as you've seen, just time and time again, the price has really struggled with that area. So keep a close eye on that. As far as levels of support, you have the purple line there at 733, 50 period. And then just in an extreme case, if the price were to drop down below 709, which is that 200 period, that would imply that, yeah, earnings were not so good. But yeah, earnings are coming out, so let's see what happens with it. Next one, Nflx, a stock that just had earnings, and overall, after a very crazy opening 30 minutes, got to give credit where credit's due. It just continued on with the uptrend. So in all actuality, nothing really new here, because this thing had already been in an uptrend, and now it just continued the uptrend after that very crazy and very dramatic 30-minute, opening 30 minutes, which again is represented by that red candlestick right there. But all in all, things are looking great. In fact, and this will be a level that I think a lot of people will be watching, and who knows, maybe we can watch it get broken right now. But 217.50 is going to be that key breakout level in the near term. So in some senses, maybe I'm stretching a little bit, but yeah, you have kind of a poor man's bull pennant right there. But point being, you have a lot of clear upwards momentum. You can see the price is putting in higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. The price is once again knocking on that, resistance level right there as I speak. So keep a close eye on that. If you do like to play pullbacks, then an interesting level in my mind right down there around the 209.50 mark. But yeah, all in all, a very nice uptrend. And once again, put this at a strategic spot, because basically same exact talking points of Nflx. Very, very nice trend over the past couple, or, we'll call it week and a half. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. So you know that there's a lot of nice upwards momentum behind it. Difference here is the first 30 minutes was just a breakout. So that was the one little difference. It wasn't crazy red for a little bit. But really this thing just keeps on moving higher and higher. And as I speak, the price is, like Nflx, knocking on this key area of resistance right up here at $11.10. So keep a close eye on that. If you do like to play the pullbacks, an interesting pullback level right down here around $10.65. And then from a pattern standpoint, if I, resistance, support, this would be maybe more so a bull flag pattern, but I don't want to get caught up in the semantics and all of that. But point here being, and what the core premise is, that there's clearly upwards momentum. There's clearly a nice pattern. There's clearly a nice potential breakout here. And then also, I almost forgot, but check out the last 30 minutes of volume. Huge volume. In fact, I think even more volume than the opening 30 minutes, which just goes to show that this is setting up. And as I speak right now, this is why I like to do these while the market's still open, because you can see right now the breakout is actually happening before our eyes. So that is a good sign moving into tomorrow, and then moving back to the whole idea of what's a watch list to find unique, to find interesting situations. Well, I would definitely consider that one of these right here. So let's see if CCL continues the momentum on Thursday. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can and should be used to help you make good decisions, build consistency, then certainly get signed up for the free live training. Like I said, it'll be very soon, Thursday, July 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to make these, please do two things for me. Hit the like button, leave a simple comment. It communicates to me. It helps the YouTube algorithm, all of which is very helpful. Helps get these videos out to more people. So I appreciate it not only from a feedback standpoint, but also, hey, just helping out the YouTube algorithm, which I really do appreciate. So do those two things. Hit that like button. Leave a simple comment, even just saying hi. Tell me what you traded tomorrow. But those things really are extremely helpful. So again, if you want to learn more, certainly get signed up for that free training. Everybody take care. Have a good one.